All right, how we doing today? We are in a different part of the house today. For some, this might look a little familiar if you happen to catch my failed podcast on a completely different channel, which I totally doubt that you had. This is where I used to record things like the Lore of Taya videos and other places out here in this little getaway that I have attached to my garage. It is also my second little reading hidey hole. So this is my outdoor library where I like to keep the books that I don't really want my kids to find out about or that I just pick up and read while I'm out here. However, what we're going to talk about today is a little return to Thomas Senlin. We're going to be going back to the Tower of Babel. Old Tom Mudd has become quite the pirate, and at this point things are getting a little out of hand. For poor Edith, it's really out of hand. I just finished this the other day. This is the 62nd book of the year that I have finished so far. I am working on number 3, which happens to be called The Hod King. I will review that once I'm done with it, of course. But as always, what we are here to do is review. So without further ado, let's get to it. This one, and before we get into it, again, this one is called The Arm of the Sphinx. It is by Josiah Bancroft. That is the author of The Arm of the Sphinx, the second book in the Tower of Babel series with Thomas Senlin in the search for his wife Maria. Now, that search is taking quite some time and not going well. Spoiler alert. How we grade our books, just to give you a little bit of a refresher, we're going to do it with a different numbering system this time. We're going to go with should you purchase the book last, and we're going to do the bit about the cover art second to last, okay? So first we're going to talk about the readability of the book. Second, we're going to talk about the characters of the book. Third, we're going to talk about the plot of the book. Fourth, we'll talk about the lovely book cover. And fifth, we'll talk about whether or not you should have this book on your bookshelf. For those of you that did actually take the time to go and take a look at the first review, if you didn't, hold the phone and click that button up there. It might be over there, it could be there, it could be inside your mouth, I don't know. Click the button and take a look at it, all right? Review of the first book, Senlin Ascends. What Mark Lawrence said was one of my favorite books of all time. And they really appreciated that quote, so they printed it on 2 books. Both books. Doesn't say he liked this one, but he sure did love Senlin Ascends, let me tell you. I'm going to tell you, right off the bat, I liked this one better than the first one. But a lot of books suffer from first book syndrome, where they're not as strong as the prevailing books. Josiah Bancroft, like many other authors, has suffered from third book inflation issues, where the third book seems to be either 2/3 as long as the first book, or outrageously long in general. And it clocks in at about 590 pages, I believe, which isn't outrageous. This one is 398. It's a very, very quick read. I think I did it in about 3 days because I had to take some breaks and whatnot in between. But it is definitely a romp. It's a fun adventure. So, readability, what does that mean? That means how easy is it to read? And this one is still a 2. This is a 2, okay? 2. That's good. That means it's not difficult to read. There aren't many words that are going to trip you up. I don't think there was a single word in this book that I had to think twice about. Not a single one. Which is good, considering it's a teacher turned accountant turned pirate who's doing the narration for the story. That is, of course, our main character, Thomas Mudd, a.k.a. Thomas Senlin, a.k.a. get me the fuck out of this tower with my wife, otherwise things are going to go really bad for me. So, yeah, deuce on the old readability. Nothing troubling here unless you're just having issues with your attention span. If you're having problems with your attention span, take a look at my tips for how to read gooder, okay? It'll help you be a better reader. That's also up there, maybe there, possibly in your mouth, okay? So, number 2, the characters. How are the characters? They are characteristic. They're a lovely ragtag group of characters. My favorite from the first book, Edith, Edith there is a huge focal point, if not the focal point of book number 2. I was very happy with that. Because if I'm enjoying the characters, I'm more likely to continue the novella. And I did so in this particular case. Once I got through 100 pages, I was like, let's do another 120. Can we put another 120 on the back end of this? Can we flip through this here and get through a good bit of it? You bet we can. And again, Orbit Publishers, shout out to Orbit. They will darken the edges of the book when the book is over, so you can just flip right to it and find out what your slog is going to be. Again, this was 398 pages. Exactly. Edith, the arm of the Sphinx, is what's attached to her arm in her bone holes. They had to completely sever her arm. It makes it hard for her to get dressed. It makes it hard for her to do anything, even with a fully functioning arm. She can be a complete badass with it, though. Thomas is less prude. I guess becoming a pirate makes you rethink your proclivities a little bit. Bit. And as a result, he is a lot more interesting as well, taking risks. And as we come to find out, in a bit of trouble mentally, not all there. He's got some ghosts lingering around in his brain hole. That's not good. If you went through the plot of the last story, it involved a painting. This one continues to involve that painting, and it looks like all of the subsequent novels are going to involve that painting. So the painting is not a MacGuffin. It is a essential part of the plot. We'll get to that when we get to the plot line. Iron, the Amazonian female warrioress, is still doing warrioress things, but it turns out after some time you might end up with a bad back. I know that one. Tried to go bowling with my kids, nearly died. Adam, who I did not like at all in the first book, I still don't care for, and I hope he dies. His sister, Voletta, is extremely interesting. She is still the, as descripted, acrobatic. She is the lithe, tanned, mysterious young lady who has found her way to the tower and was almost sold to many a disgusting old man, as is what is wont to happen with young ladies who wind up on their own. Just going to move this so I can have my hand free to do hand things. And she likes to have her hands free to do hand things all over things that she can climb on because she's a climber and that's what she wants to do. And she ends up with a sugar glider. That's always fun. We love sugar gliders around here. Flying squirrels. Pretty cool. Know what I mean? That rounds out the crew of the, I think it's called the Storm Cloud. I can't remember what their rusty bucket is that they're floating around in. But yeah, so that's the crew. Thomas is the captain. Edith is your first mate. And then you have the rest of the crew. Now, Voletta, obviously, because she likes to climb things, she is the lookout. She's the one with ADHD and can't sit still. And so she's flying around all over the boat, keeping a lookout. Until one day, it goes horribly wrong. Which leads us to the plot. What is Thomas and crew doing? Well, as explained in the beginning, they are searching for his wife, Maria. Not with an I, spelled with a Y. Couldn't tell you why. It is a continuation of the first, obviously. We pick up right where we left off. Thomas and co. are becoming pretty good pirates. They are batting .600 and winning multiple games in a row. Unlike the Pittsburgh Pirates, who couldn't find a win in a paper bag. That's not true. I think they are doing all right, but the owner needs to get fired aka on a pirate ship, he needs to be thrown overboard because he's a piece of garbage. For my non-baseball fans, let's get back to it. The Arm of the Sphinx is a tale of how things are not always as they seem. People will lie by omission. People will go on a mission. People will just keep secrets entirely, not tell you the truth at all. Other people will scam you. Other people will lie to you. Other people will tell you half-truths. And there is a lot of that. There's a lot of that. There's people using people up and down, not in sexual ways that are written about. Clearly it happens all over Babel, but not something that Josiah is wanting to write about. Like I said before, I think as an author, Josiah is a little bit of a prude, in addition to how Thomas himself likes to act. And that's okay. We're all different people. Nobody needs to be a pervert. I'm looking at you, Mark, in the back row. I've marked you as a prevert. One day, the crew gets into a little bit of a kerfuffle. And as a result of that, it really spirals the plot along. And in order to not cause any issues with reading the book, I don't want to go into too many details about it, but I found it enjoyable. In the first story, there is a portion of it when they're getting the painting where I mentioned it briefly in the review that, I did feel the tension. I felt like things may not go the way that they should go. My temperature was rising. The sweat was beading off my brow, just like it is right now. But only because it's so hot in this goddamn room. That's why I like to film out in my nook, but I can't. Change the circumstance, Just like what happens to Thomas Mudd and his band of pirates. Changes of circumstance. So, I think I skipped over a couple of things. 2, the characters. I'm going to give them a 4 out of 5. I love the characters. I hate Adam. That's where we lose a point. That's okay. Not everybody's perfect. The plot. I'm going to give this one a better review than the last one. 4 out of 5. Goes over a lot of things very well, very clearly. The pacing is good. The story is wonderful. You'll want to turn the pages. Is it the best book that I've ever read of all time? No. That's still Dungeon Crawler Carl for the moment. I don't know what it is about that story. I just absolutely love it. As you can see, I've added copy number 2 to my collection. I'm just a month, I will go and pick up another Dungeon Crawler Carl copy. Words are hard when you're trying to do them. And things happen. Just like what happens in Arm of the Sphinx. So many things. You will enjoy them. So plot, 4 out of 5. We're already getting a better score than the first time around. The book cover. Beautiful. Beautiful book cover. We have strayed from the black and red, and we have gone into black and blue territory, much like the bruises that the crew receives. As the last one told a bit of the plot, this one tells a bit of the plot just from the picture. You have the Arm of the Sphinx right there. It is inside of the tower, and that is a very important part of the story and will continue to be an important part of the story, so I hope that you take note of it. Book cover, 3.5 out of 5. Room for improvement, but it uses negative space very well, and like I said before, it does the weird perception thing, which if you checked out my tips on how to read good, which you saw was now in English, I did a little bit of that perception change as well. Because I'm trying to change your perception of what it's like to read. Anyhow, 3.5 out of 5 on the book cover. A little bit of room for improvement, but overall I like it. If it stayed red, I'd love it even more. Don't know what it is about that. I just dig it. Should you have this on your bookshelf? As you can see, this one is yet again a library copy. I cannot stress enough how important it is to go to your local library. You may not find everything that you're looking to find there that would be on BookTube or BookTok, but that's because most of those books are shit. Good books wind up in your library, and you should find good books. Judgment aside, I'm going to continue to judge this book, and I'm going to say that if you enjoyed the first one, and you have purchased the first one, it kind of goes without saying that at some point, you should probably add number 2. Is it a requirement? I'm going to continue with no. No. Hurts it a little bit, but that's okay. I do like the spine. What I also like is that it clearly says this is book number 2. More authors need to do that. More publishers even. They're the ones who are more in charge of that. Tell us what book we're on without me having to go to the internet while I'm at the library or the bookstore. Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you do that? Are you capable of that? Can you maybe do that? Could you do that? That would be nice. So, overall, we're going to go ahead and give Arm of the Sphinx by Josiah Bancroft a solid 4 out of 5. That's right. I think last time I gave it a 3.5 out of 4, out of 5. I could say this is maybe a 3.8 out of 5. Why did my voice break? I haven't done that in 20 years. But it's a stronger follow-up from the first one, okay? And that's all you need to know. So if you enjoyed the first one, take a look at the second one. No, you can't read them independent of each other, because it's entirely important that you have read book number 1 before you journey further up the tower, okay? Think of the size of the tower as the journey of the books, all right? I think there's 4 total, so after I finish number 3, I'm going to have to get number 4 from the library. And once I have retrieved it from my local library, I will put it into my eye holes, okay? And then I'll put it in front of your eye holes, because that's what we do around here. And as always, I hope that you enjoyed this review. If you liked it, leave a comment or 2. Leave a like, you know? Tell me if you've read the book, if you've thought about reading the book, if these reviews are even influencing you at all. If it is, subscribe! That's right, watch the little blinking thing down in the bottom left-hand corner of your YouTube screen. And, of course, have a good evening, a good day, and farewell.